simplicity is the hardest thing to do, but you've got to be simple to communicate in that fraction of a second. It's about that fraction of a second. So we used the name The Travelling Bee Company, which is intriguing. What do you mean by travelling bee? Yeah, so it starts to tell a story about it, but it's a little bit different. When we did the label, it was simplistic. We used a sort of artisan-looking label in a buff kind of colour with simple, from a print perspective, cheap, black on paper. So almost a hand-drawn effect of the hive on a pair of old-fashioned wheels, and again drawing. What's that about? What's happening there? Explains. It's a hive on wheels. The bees are moving. That's what it's all about. Yeah. And then it starts to take you in. Yeah. So if you're getting heather honey, the bees have been taken to the heather, and they've been taken to a certain location. You go on the back, and it tells you about that.
Right.
So first thing is, the important thing when you're looking at shopper communications, we say stop, hold, close. It's a 3-stage process. Stop somebody in their tracks. If you can stop them, then you've got to hold their attention, and then you close the sale. So you stop them by saying, "Oh, this is intriguing. What's this about?" You hold their attention, but they want to engage with it, look into it, read the story, and they close by saying, "Hey, that sounds great. Yeah. I'd quite like some of that." Yeah. I've got some, and you're communicating the provenance. Yeah. You're communicating the quality, the value, and based on that, people say, "I want to buy that product," rather than that cheap honey there that's half sugar syrup and it's made by boiling the bees, whatever. I'm not saying anybody does that at all. Don't
write in
angry letters from honey manufacturers.
Well, they'll come to me, so
and it's about the provenance, and that's what's communicated. It is simple, but based on that, and the case studies on our website, www.wearedecide.com. There's
we'll put a link.
A lot of other interesting case studies on there, but that one, particularly if you're a boutique business, there's a lot of things to be learned in there. And if you get the chance to hear Mark speak, he is absolutely inspirational. So please, maybe at DNN, at one of the Rising Designs. I think he has spoken at Rising Design before, but it's well worth hearing his story. So based on that redesign, he got listings in additional retailers, but the big figure, the big number, as an accountant, I love numbers, former accountant, reformed accountant, I love numbers, 535% increase in sales.
Wow.
535%. We did the same process with Fortnum & Mason in London, right, on their iconic tea range.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Which, again, was an award winner because based on the redesign, the overall increase in purchase was 35%. Right. And again, that story was all about provenance, quality, history, communicating what's important to the purchaser of that product. It wasn't somebody who was maybe looking for, cheap builder's tea or something like that. Not at all. They were looking for something. Sometimes it's a gift, sometimes it's a present, etc. And it was absolutely about communicating the right things to the right person in the right environment for the right purpose. It's about being true to the product where you can,
And is that true for, because your company specialises, I guess, or focuses on, as you've said, consumer products, the kind of things you see in a supermarket.
Yeah.
Is that true for all kinds of products, do you think, or is it just
absolutely products and services? Right. Even more important in services. In services, we're a service business. In services, people buy an intangible. Right. Yeah. They can't even see the product, taste it, hold it, look at it. They're buying an intangible, and so that requires an even more subtle approach to trying to communicate what's important to the buyer. I looked at this thing recently. When you look at what, say, accountants are saying about themselves, trust, prudence, all these things, but everybody says that. Yeah. So those are hygiene factors. The old motivation, Hertzberg's motivation hygiene theory. Those are kind of hygiene factors. Those are givens, that you would expect. They're not USP. So what are you going to say that's a USP? And is it about caring for personal finances personally, which is what laws do, very much the personal touch, in a world where people are dealing with remote call centers and all this sort of thing, or is it about value? Is it about cost? Is it about being quick? What's it about? And your communications must follow. Don't try and be something you're not. Just because the other guy's doing that they're not necessarily offering the same product in the same way or the same service in the same way as you are. So this Me Too thing, sometimes you say, oh, well, they're doing that. We know it. Why are they doing that? And the second thing is it successful?
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Because it may not be.
Yeah. So,
yeah, going back to what you said about sometimes you get a NAF logo and that sort of thing. Yeah, sometimes it is just NAF. But sometimes, people, if the nub of the story is right, if it's true to the product, because the worst thing you can do is in most fields, so fast-moving consumer goods, if you sell one bottle of ketchup or one pack of biscuits, that's not going to keep the wolf from the door. That's not keep the business running. People have got to come back and repeat and buy, and it's what it's often referred to as the first moment of truth. When you come across the product and then you decide to buy it, that's the first moment of truth. The second moment of truth is when you actually interact with the product. In case of a biscuit, you eat it, you taste it, whatever. And a student I was mentoring, master's student I was mentoring, said to me when I was talking about the psychological basis of design, is that not manipulation? It's a very good question, because there's a line between influence and manipulation. I like to think good design influences by telling you things we think are important to you and that are true, and that you need to know, the product's relevant. Sorts out your dandruff, gets rid of your halitosis, whatever it might be, washes your clothes cleaner, whatever it's supposed to do. But manipulation, in my mind, is when you're saying things, you're masking things, you're saying things that aren't true. And you might get past the first moment of truth.